Hi everybody, Kat here. Thanks for joining me today. In 3 easy steps, we are going to be painting a snow-covered pine. And after this video, once you've done all your practicing, what we can do is I plan on making like a landscape with it. So get your favorite practice paper out and we'll get started. The first step is to choose a blue that does not granulate. So any blue will pretty much do the trick except for ultramarine, because when you mix ultramarine with water, the pigment will settle and become spotty on your page. I'm using some sap green and I mixed in some, I cooled it down with some Payne's gray. And then we're going to be using a brown for the trunk. So I have 2 brushes. I have one that's kind of rounded, doesn't come to a point, and one that comes to a nice point. So to start with, I'm going to start right over here, and you don't have to do this. You can draw a branch if you want in pencil, but I don't. I just take a dry brush and I put some blue, very watery blue paint. You see how watery that is? So I dab it off my brush, but I still want my brush wet with it. So, and then I'm going to dab some on here, and I'm making them very irregular. Very irregular shapes, just little blue blobs, trying to keep in mind that it's going to be on top of branches that we haven't painted in yet. So this is step 1. So you're just going to, I'm kind of keeping it 3 or 4 at a time. And I'm kind of going more narrow as I get closer to the top. And then I taper off at the top, like I just put a little bit of dabs, and I don't come out as far to this on the sides here. Just like that. Now, I have made the blue a tiny bit stronger than I need to, but that is because I want you to be able to see it on camera, and it's really difficult for me to see what you see until I publish the video. So, okay, so now I'm going in with my, see how creamy that is? Coffee cream. Okay, so now I'm going to come and I'm going to just let the green touch in some spots. And you can make this as jagged as you want. Don't make it too smooth because the branches are not smooth on a pine tree. And don't mind the bleeding because snow doesn't always completely cover everything, right? So it kind of gives you that hint that there's a branch under there. So I'm just touching the bottom of the snow that we just painted. And I'm just kind of trying not to be uniform, as I always say. Your brain wants you to do the same movement with your hands, so try not to. Try not to let it get too rhythmic. Now these are pretty wet, so I'm going to leave those to the end. I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to get some sticking out here and there. Just go around and touch up. Now these are practice ones, so when you practice, what you can do is you can use different shades of green if you like. I'm going to add a little bit more Payne's gray to darken some of it up. just here and there, but you don't have to do this while you're practicing. But when we get to the landscape that I'll come up with for maybe a nice Christmas card or something, if you practice doing this, you will be able to add it into your painting. Just for a little variation, right? Don't really like that, but okay. Now I'm going to make some brown. You can take the green you have and add red, which I think is what I'm going to do because I have a lot of green here. And there we have some brown. And I'm going to go in between these branches. And I don't mind when my watercolors bleed into each other. I kind of welcome it. I like that. That's what I like about watercolor. And you can do the trunk coming out, or you can make this look like it's right in the snow. It doesn't matter what you do. It's your choice, your painting. Okay, so that's one down. So depending on the shape of your tree, the snow is going to sit differently. Mostly, I do my trees like this. There are trees like this. I'm going to show you a picture of what I'm referring to. Where, I hope you can see that okay, where the branches go upward. So the snow would be sitting more like that, rounded and up. So I'm not going to do this. I prefer this. So we're going to do another one and see if we can make it look a tiny bit different. Okay, so I'll start over here. And do the bottom a little more watery than you do the top because you want it to stay wet longer while you're working on it. And don't think too much. Don't overthink this, because if you do, it won't turn out as nice. Just don't overthink it. Just do some zigzaggy kind of blobs, for lack of a better word, the snow blobs. And then at the top, just like this. And don't forget to put some in the middle, because your tree grows towards you as well, not just out of the sides like we tend to paint them as. Okay, so I'm going to start adding my green. Whoops, don't want it this watery. This is a bit watery for me, so I'm going to make some more to thicken it up. And I'm not afraid to waste this. It won't get wasted because I use a lot of this color, especially in my winter paintings and in my cards. I'm quite late this year. We were in the hospital for a while with my husband. He has MS, and I'm so behind on life. Okay, so I'm re-wetting the stuff that looks dry to me. I'm talking too much again. And depending on the paper you're using to practice on, you might have a puddle. Like I have puddles here that I have to wait to dry, and then the rest is a bit too dry. Okay, so I'll start down here. Just gonna come in and let it just graze that snow. And it is such an easy way to, I'll show you another little thing that I've done with it. In your paintings in the spring, when you have green poking out through the snow, this method also works really well for that, and I'll show you in 1 second what I mean. Don't re-wet your brush in between picking up your paint because you're going to have too much water on it. These are still quite puddly, so I'm going to take my blue brush, the one I use for my blue. I'm going to soak that up. So if you try not to think too hard about it, they will all have a very unique look to them, your trees, all while using the same method. And now for the brown, that's the step 3. I'm going to put that in here. Oops, I made this too watery, so I'm going to soak that up and dab some off. I don't want this part to be too watery. You can put it a couple of branches if you like, leading out towards your boughs. And there you have it. Now, before we go, so you're going to practice this until you get it right, and I'm going to put out another video, and we're going to be using them for a landscape. Now, I just want to show you this. Please disregard the mess on this page, but this is what I mean by this method works if you're trying to get some grasses to poke through a field of snow. You see, like this. That it's the same method I used, except I used green and blue to make it look like this snow was kind of melting just in that spot, you know, in March when things start to poke out, if you live in a wintry area like I do. So this method is easy peasy, and in another few days I will put out a video, and hopefully we'll have a nice landscape to go with these. So practice, and I'll meet you back here in a little bit. So thanks for watching, and if you liked it, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that like button. Happy watercoloring. Bye bye.